Hi guys, Genesis chapter 7 today. So let's get started in verse 1. Chapter 7 verse 1 says, "And the Lord said unto Noah, Come thou and all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation." So we talked about this in chapter 6, right? Noah was seen as righteous. So does that mean he was perfect or sinless? No, that's not what it means. It means he was seeking God, and the entire rest of the world was seeking themselves and evil things. And Noah was seeking God, so he found righteousness. Verse 2 and 3. "Of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by sevens." That's the dog, sorry. "Take to thee by sevens the male and his female, and the beasts that are not clean by two, the male and his female. Of fowls also by the air by sevens, the male and his female, to keep seed alive upon the face of all the earth." Okay, so here God is clarifying the number of animals that Noah is to take on the ship, right? So he tells Noah 2 of every unclean animal. And this is for repopulating later, right? After the ark is rested and the waters are gone and the animals need to repopulate, that is why they have to have male and female, obviously, okay? And 7 of every clean animal. Now, obviously, even though the Bible has not told us yet at this point what is clean and what is unclean, Noah knew what that was. Because when God told him 7 of every clean and 2 of every unclean, Noah had already known what that was. So, and why 7 and not 2? We're going to talk about that in chapter 8, but it is because after Noah is able to get off of the ark after the flood, he does sacrifice 1 of every clean animal and bird of the air to God. And that would leave 6. So 3 pairs for repopulating after. So, verse 4. "For yet 7 days I will cause it to rain upon the earth, 40 days and 40 nights. And every living substance that I have made will I destroy from off the face of the earth." Okay, so God tells Noah that in 7 days from then, from this moment that he is talking to him, so not when he first gave the instructions. He didn't tell them, build this giant boat and do all this, and by the way, you have 7 days. That's not what it was. It actually took 100 years, okay? But from that moment that he's speaking, it is 7 days the rain is going to start, and it is going to rain for 40 days and 40 nights. Now, this is not a rain like anything that we have seen. It is a constant, non-stop 40 days, 40 nights. The water comes from above and from below, actually. And he says that he will destroy every living substance. So the word here is limited to animals and people. It is not talking about plants. Now, obviously, some plants will be destroyed just in the waters alone, but the purpose of the flood was not to destroy the plant life. Actually, part of the reason that the birds were taken on there is to keep the seed alive for the plants. So, verse 5. "And Noah did according unto all the Lord commanded him." Here it is again. Obedience. Noah did everything that God had told him to. That's obedience. God rewards obedience. In fact, in Deuteronomy 12:28, it says that he will bless your future generations because of your obedience. Verse 6. "And Noah was 600 years old when the flood waters was upon the earth." Okay, so when the flood starts, Noah is 600. Using the math from chapter 5, okay, the earth was 1,556 years old when Noah was 500. Now he's 600, so at the start of the flood, the earth is 1,656 years old. Okay. 7 to 9. "And Noah went in, and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with them, into the ark because of the waters of the flood. Of clean beasts, and of beasts that are not clean, and of fowls, and of everything that creepeth upon the earth. There went in 2 and 2 unto Noah into the ark, the male and the female, as God had commanded Noah." Okay, so Noah, his wife, and his sons' wives, that's the God-saving future generations because of Noah's obedience, right, went into the ark. Then, so after Noah and his family were in the ark, then the animals came into the ark, okay, 2 at a time. Noah did not have to go find these animals. Okay, God didn't give him a checklist and Noah had to go out and find them and physically carry them back to the boat. Noah went to the boat, and then God brought these animals to the ark. All right, verse 10. And it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were upon the earth. Just like God had said. 7 days he's going to start the rain. Okay. So after 7 days, just like he said in verse 4, it started to rain. So Noah, whom everyone already probably thought was crazy because he has been building this boat for 100 years, saying that the end is coming, right? He's now sitting in a boat. It's not raining with his family, and it's not raining. Like, they're sitting there for 2 days, and I can just imagine, like, did their faith waver at all? Did they start to doubt their dad? Did they start to doubt God? Because they had been in this ark for 3 days. It's not raining yet. 4 days, still not raining. 5 days, no rain. 6 days, not raining. 7. It took 7 days for it to rain. Verse 11 and 12. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened. And the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. Okay. So the rain starts, and it's not just rain. It's not just like when we go outside and there's just rain coming from the clouds. This rain is coming from 2 separate places. First of all, there was water coming from the fountains of the deep. It says the fountains of the great deep were broken up. We've all seen fountains. We know that water in a fountain comes from the bottom and is lifted up like a fountain, right? That's what happened here. So the water from under the earth shoots up through the earth and it begins to flood. And this is what actually causes that one continent to start to break apart. Also, if you look at the rest of this verse, I'm going to reread part of this. In 11, it says, and the windows of heaven were opened up. So what are the windows of heaven? That doesn't mean God was looking down through the window, right? He can see anyway. Let's look back at chapter 1, verses 6 to 8. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. And the evening and the morning were the 2nd day. So, when God created the earth, he created this firmament on top of the earth. It's a dome that keeps the water that is above it from coming inside and mixing with the waters below it. The waters below it, we know, are the oceans, right? The waters above it is what this water came from in the flood. It says the windows of heaven were opened. God literally opened part of the firmament and let that water from outside inside. Okay. So from now until the rest of the chapter, we're going to completely throw out that global view, okay? Because it doesn't work with the things that the Bible says, okay? I can't even begin to explain how the details of the flood are possible on a sphere. So we're going to forget that for now. Okay, verses 13 to 16. In the selfsame day entered Noah and Shem and Ham and Japheth, the sons of Noah, and Noah's wife, and the 3 wives of the sons with them into the ark. They, and every beast after its kind, and all the cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth after his kind, and every fowl after his kind, and every bird of every sort. And they went into Noah into the ark, 2 and 2 of all flesh, whereas in the breath of life. And they went in, male and female of all flesh, as God has commanded him, and the Lord shut him in. Okay. This is a recap again. The Bible likes to do this, kind of tell us what already happened, just maybe in a little bit of a different way. So, this is the same day that Noah went in. All the animals went into. It's not telling you that the same day it started raining, everybody went in. We already know what they waited 7 days for it to start raining while they were in. This is saying the same day that Noah went in was the same day that the animals went in. Okay? And then at the very end, it says, and God shut them in. God shut that door on the ark where they couldn't get back out. Okay? So, God shut the door, meaning Noah couldn't open it for any reason. Noah's sons couldn't open it, their wives, Noah's wife, nobody could open the door. Nobody on the outside either could open the door. Verse 17. And the flood was 40 days upon the earth, and the waters increased and bare up the ark, and it was lifted up above the earth. Okay, so for 40 days it rained continually from above and from below. Okay, so there's water coming in on top of them, but it's also filling up from below. Okay, he says the waters increased. Well, they had to, right? That was the plan, to kill all living creatures. And I want you to think about this. There were some really tall creatures back then, right? We know there were certain dinosaurs that were very large, very tall. And we know from the last chapter that there were also giants, very large giants, not Goliath-sized giants, but giants that made people look like grasshoppers. Okay? So if you can imagine the amount of water that had to be on the earth to kill every living creature, to include those giants. Okay. Also, it says that the ark was lifted above the earth. Think about that. Okay. Just think about that to yourself for a moment. I'm going to move on to 18. And the waters prevailed and were increased greatly upon the earth, and the ark went upon the face of the waters. Okay. If you've been with me since chapter 1, you already know what I'm going to say about the word face. Okay. Water doesn't have a face, right? It doesn't have 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth. It's not that kind of face. The word face literally means a flat surface. Okay. So like a cube would have 6 faces. A square would have 1 face. A circle has 1 face. But a sphere doesn't have any faces. So let's move to 19. And the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth, and all the high hills that were under the whole heaven were covered. So in this verse, the water is getting even deeper, okay? So deep that the highest hills are covered. And we don't know what the highest hills were back then. We don't know what the highest hill would have been on the earth. But this is saying at this moment, as the waters are rising, the highest hills are covered, okay? Let's go into verse 20. 15 cubits upward did the waters prevail, and the mountains were covered. Okay, so now the mountains are covered, right? I've heard it said that the waters were 15 cubits high, which if you're reading it just for the way that the King James is worded and most other versions are worded, it kind of does look like 15 cubits up towards the top. It says upward. So 15 cubits upward or towards the top would be how high the water is. 15 cubits is 22.5 feet. Okay, but that is not what this verse says. Not at all. You have to look at the original Hebrew with some of these things to really understand the meaning. Now, as I said, remember they were giants in these days. Giants so big that people look like grasshoppers. Okay. There's trees on top of the mountains. So these giants on top of the mountains, on top of the trees, probably would have survived because they were very, very tall, right? Or even giants standing on top of other giants, because people are going to do anything to survive, especially in a situation like that. You are literally going to climb. You can say you wouldn't, but you are literally going to climb on top of your friends or your family or anybody around you just to get your head above the water, okay? So as the giants that we know were so big that people look like grasshoppers, I don't know how big that is. But even at, say, 15 feet, if they just stood on top of the other one, that's 30 feet. So there's no possible way that the water was only 22 and a half feet higher than the tallest mountain. That's not what it means. So what does it mean? So 15 cubits upward is how the verse starts. We know that is 22 and a half feet. But the original Hebrew word for upward is, I'm not going to say it, but it's milmalah, which actually means from the top. Okay? So it's not 22 and a half feet from the ground up or from the mountain up. It's 22 and a half feet from the top is how tall the waters were. So 22 and a half feet from the top of what? From the top of the firmament, okay? It literally, when the waters were released, okay, and the firmament opened and the waters came in and the waters came up, it filled up this firmament. It filled up the earth all the way till it was 22 and a half feet from the top of the firmament. So let's go into 21 to 23. And all flesh died that moved upon the earth, both of fowl and of cattle and of beasts and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, and every man, all in whose nostrils was the breath of life, and all that was in the dry land died. And every living substance that was destroyed, which was upon the face of the ground, both man and cattle and the creeping things and the fowl of the heaven, they were destroyed from the earth. And Noah only remained alive, and they that were with him in the ark. Okay, so this clarifies several times in those verses. At least once in every verse, it clarifies that all living flesh died. Okay, besides Noah and those that were on the ark with him. Every man, woman, child died. Okay. There's a theory that I've heard, right, that says that a giant was hanging onto the side of the ark, or that a giant was somewhere else, or somebody survived this way. That's not possible, because fact checked right here. God said all living flesh died. All of it. But it says all living flesh from the air and from the ground. It has said that several times as well. So the things in the water, they didn't die. Obviously, Noah did not have to build an aquarium on the ark, because you don't have to save a goldfish from a flood, right? Of course. So all the sea creatures survived, and anything living in the water would have survived. Okay. Let's read verse 24. And the waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days. So that's right around 5 months. The water prevailed. Okay. The word prevailed means to be victorious. So for 5 months, the water was doing exactly what God wanted the water to do. So we will do chapter 8 later. Bye, guys.